Well, did you see in the Washington Post this morning that the GOP, the Senate bill, does have medical deduction in there?
Yeah, I did understand that. They've been a couple of members of the Republican Senate have said that was going to stay in. So they've really taken it off the table in the Senate, but not in the House.
Right.
So that's it. Everybody got back home. All right. Oh, there's Jim. Yeah. Hi, Jim. Welcome.
Good afternoon.
Hello, Jim.
Hello.
That's you in the center. Who's in the lower right direction?
That's Ron Whalen.
Yeah.
You're muted. Did you know that, Ron? I guess you don't because you can't hear me either.
Oh, and then over on the left.
That's Walt Boyer.
No, good. Yeah.
Welcome, Walt.
There's Walt. Okay.
And the other young lady.
Kim Barkley. She's from Partners.
Oh.
There she is.
I'm here.
Hi, Ken.
Hi.
That's a different looking Jack. Is it younger, handsomer? I'm going to get a good picture of him. Oh, okay. All right. How you doing, Walt? You feeling okay?
Yep.
Huh?
I had a very busy week last week and over the weekend, but yeah, I'm feeling better now. Came down with the cold over the weekend too, while at a diocesan convention. But
oh, how'd that go? I remember you talking about that.
I'm sorry I didn't get much done with respect to your phone call last week.
Oh, we'll get there.
We got your papers all stretched out.
I do, yeah. Well, according to my clock here, it is 1 o'clock, at least Eastern time. So I think might as well go ahead and call the meeting to order.
Yeah.
And everybody got the agenda and the documents that Ann sent out to you. Hi, Jean. How are you?
Jean.
We'll get into the minutes in a minute, but before that, I want to tell you that really the purpose of today for me is to go over what we've been doing in transition. I really had hoped to keep the board up to date with everything that's happening, and there has been a lot of things happening. So our two key documents today will be the transition, what we're calling Transition 2017, that document, plus the document that Jim had prepared for us on some of the budget items, because as we migrate, about everything we do has some financial implications. So we want to keep the board informed on what's happening and its financial implications. There are some other items, but these are the principal things that I'd like to do today. So let's go ahead with the minutes, and I believe, Ann, we've got minutes with one suggested modification from Jack.
Yes, I think everybody received the email. Can you see this on the screen?
Yep.
no.
That he had a couple paragraphs as a substitution for the two paragraphs that had been titled resignation. So I recommend the approval of the minutes with this correction.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second, Walt Boyer.
Walt, any discussion with anybody? Okay, then I'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, so we got minutes as modified, approved, okay? Now, the second thing is the transition progress. And are you able to put that document up, Ann? And we're gonna, between the three of us, between Ann and myself and Jim, we're going to go through this to give you an overview of what's happened. Then at the end of it, Jim has a piece of paper which was also sent to you with the financial implications. Before we go in, well, let's just go ahead and start into that. So. Are you going to put up that document, or can you do that?
Well, isn't it showing?
No, we're still looking at the minutes. Correction to the minutes.
We have the addition to the minutes, yeah. That's what's up now.
Click.
It's showing now. It's
Still transition to the minutes. Correction to the minutes, I'm sorry.
well, let me go back.
That's me.
You don't have to get out and refresh yours, do you?
I had them all up on the screen. Let's do it this way.
Well, there it is.
Okay.
You have it now.
Part of it's covered up, yeah.
You're good.
If you just move that a little more to the right, it'll be fine.
I think they're gonna get rid of it. There.
There we go. Okay, well, this is the transition plan, and it's our intention to keep this up to date so you know where we are on the following items. And the first piece, it has to do with the financial records and the signature cards and all the rest of that stuff. And pretty much the financial records, the ones we're going to keep, are going to be picked up from partners. I think that's the only open item. Did Bennett ever make a decision, do you know, Kim, on keeping the years there for your files, maintenance, and disposition?
Yeah, he said that was fine.
Okay, so what's going to happen is that the copies that would ordinarily be retired over time will be held as partners rather than trying to find a new home for them. But they'll be subject to the same files, maintenance, and disposition plans as our records had before. Everything else will move forward, including those original records. I don't think there's anything else on that chart to speak of. And you or Jim want to add anything to that?
Kim, you might mention to Bennett that I'm still waiting for his login for the Maryland registered agent.
Oh, I can send you that.
Very good.
Okay, I'll write that down to do that.
Thank you.
Register what?
Okay. Is Ruth Walsh on this call? No, she is not.
She's not coming till maybe half an hour into the call.
Oh, okay. Okay, so we'll hold communications. But in finance and accounting, Jim, you've been pretty much in the lead. You want to talk about that?
Sure. I've had several calls with Kim at Partners and with Rachel and Langan, the accountants. I think we're pretty well understand the process that's going on. There's still some things that we need to work through, but I can report that both Kim and Rachel have been very cooperative, very helpful, and I think we'll get through that in the next week or 10 days.
One of the things the board might be interested in is that the signature cards have been processed. The online access to the accounts has been set up.
Yep.
And so both Jim and I have that input. As far as I'm concerned, that one is complete.
Yes.
If anybody has any questions as we're moving down through, just shout them out and we'll address them. Let's continue down that page.
Can I just go back to communications in that it's just not the lifeline that's mentioned there. The website access codes. I do have the access codes to get to the domains. And I did get a hard copy of, I did get an electronic logo from Kim, and I also downloaded the Oxygen font, which is used in the logo to make letterhead.
Okay, all right.
Going to clean now? Do you want cleaning to go on? Okay.
Well, if you want me to continue with the banking, I see down at the bottom, I wasn't trying to get ahead of this, but we have set up a system. It's not operating yet, but should be in the next week or 10 days. A lockbox so that checks can be sent directly to a lockbox address at SunTrust, and those checks will be deposited. Anything in the envelope that contains the check, like the invoice or coupon, whatever we want, will be scanned, including this check, and we will be able to see the details of each deposit. So that's in process. It just takes a little time for SunTrust to set it up.
That's also the kind of the critical path right now for release of the invoices. Kim and Partners will do the mailing for us for the November, but until we get the go ahead from SunTrust that the account can be used and mailed to, we're going to hold up on that. But that should be another week or so before that's finished.
Correct.
Okay. We drop down a little bit more and we'll talk about it. The documents have been completely given to us being myself, Jim, and Ann, the membership records that Partners had kept. We have electronic files now of all the things. I think we have everything that they were keeping for us. Is that correct, Kim? Mm-hmm. I think that's been, we have all those documents digital now. Insurance items, our D&O policy is really the only thing we have to worry about, and that won't be due till next year, so that we can simply weigh. It's a matter of notifying the carrier.
We have a copy of it.
Yeah, okay. So keep going down there. And on vendor contracts and transitions, there is one major thing here to talk about. We've been holding weekly calls like this with Steve Riches, and the idea is that we want to get to know him. Jack had pretty much been the voice of NaCCRA to him, but we all three now try to participate in that and learn just what the nuances of the system are. And so far as we can tell, this will work just fine. But there's a lot to learn in the process. And for example, the information of the board. This week we're going to look at the flow documents from that take place from the cash receipts and the invoicing into the completion of the accounting cycle and entering the accounting programs. So that's the agenda for this Saturday. Jim, is there anything else I need to add on that? I want to make a comment about Lanigan and Associates. Lanigan and Associates do what in Bean County language is called write-up work for us. They don't do an audit per se, but they keep the books and they publish our reports. And they will probably continue to do that because the books that we will use in the future are online QuickBooks, and that is what is being used currently by Lanigan, who does that with the Partners Organization.
Yeah, I can say a little bit about that. I talked to Rachel this morning, who's my contact there, and we discussed what they would do and what we wanted them to do for us. And I asked her what they did basically for partners, and they pay the bills, did the billing work. They did the bank reconciliation, and they prepared the financial statements. There may be some other, what I call minor advice and other things, consultations. But those are the main things. Would you agree with that, Kim?
Tax return.
Yeah. So what I've asked them to do is to think about giving me a price for what they would do that for us on a monthly basis. I just wanted to have a number to plug into the this expense budget that I'm working on, and I have a plug number in there. I guess we're going to look at that in a few minutes. But it may be more, it may be less, but it's a round number. I think we're going to need their help, or an accounting firm, and I can't think of any reason in the world we'd go out and start with somebody new. They have agreed to let us have their QuickBooks Online account and put it in our name. It's set up. There's no sense again in reinventing the wheel. We'll need to make a few tweaks to it. I'm working on that with Rachel now. So I think we're moving ahead very, very nicely on that. Not done, more work to do, but we'll get it done.
Okay. You can continue down the page, and if you're the scroller, yeah. Now, I think at this point we need to talk about the establishment of the virtual office. This is important for all the board members to understand that effective within this month probably, we will have a different mailing address. Now, this is not the bank mailing address for payments, but it is the official address of NaCCRA once we depart the relationship with partners. And it's Connecticut Avenue address, and it's basically a virtual office that answers phones and keeps communication flowing from the contact numbers and emails and whatever else there are to the members of the board.
Actually, that office is actually it's official. I say it's official because we've sent the form that the U.S. Postal Service requires for mail. So if somebody mails something to that address, it will be delivered to our box, and will be forwarded to us if we want it forwarded. There's also a phone number. We have that phone number. It's not in front of me, but it's an 800 number, a toll-free number. And we have a call flow sheet. So and they'll be training their operators. So when a call comes in, their operators will know what to do with it, how to answer the phone, what they're going to say, and who to forward it to. It's a very thorough system. Ann and Jack and I have looked at it, and we're still working through that.
Okay. All right, let's go down. If there's any questions, be sure you jump in. But so we do have an official office now on Connecticut Avenue in Washington area. Drop down a little bit more. Okay. Now, the next thing that we have to learn how to do on our own after Kim takes us through the November billings are the invoices. These are our notice of dues that are due, membership times that are up, that we prompt people to join up, and those will go out in hopefully a week, 10 days would be my guess, sometime before the end of November.
What we're waiting for there is the lockbox address, because the plan is to send the invoice, and the invoice will be slightly changed. It'll have our new address on it, and we may add a couple of other things. But anyway, it'll have a new address that will go in a window envelope and be mailed by Kim or her team.
Now,
also in the envelope will be
most of the notifications are going to go out from Steve's system where we have email addresses.
Yes, that's right. We'll have the addresses. We've already gotten a download. It's in an Excel file of the email. Well, the physical address, name, physical address, and the amount due, and that will go on the invoice, and that will go in a number 10 window envelope. In that envelope will be another number 9 envelope with the address of the bank lockbox. It'll say NaCCRA. I'm not sure exactly what it's going to say, but anyway, the member will enclose their check and the invoice in that envelope and send it back to the bank. And that's what I said earlier. The bank will then scan that, and we will be able to look online to see exactly what was in the envelope. So we'll be able to match that in the accounting system, so we'll know who paid and who hasn't.
So the purpose of this is to give you a feel for the kinds of actions that are really consuming the transition team, Jim, myself, and Ann, until we get the job done. And so while we don't need to dwell on all the details of this, what I really wanted to do in this time was to make sure that the board members are conversant with the action and have some confidence that we will move forward and that we'll be in business in a different way after the first of the year. So that's exactly what this is all about. So if you have questions or input to that, this is the time to do that.
I do have one. I think it's a very comprehensive list, and I think you've done an excellent job in getting things started. I see one omission that doesn't have a high priority in my mind, but I think it's something we should be doing.
Okay.
And that is finding a lawyer that we can go to. Every once in a while, we could come up with an issue in which we need to get advice from a lawyer. And I don't I know we can't afford to have anyone on retainer right now, but if we had an arrangement with a lawyer that we could call upon them from time to time, and have that person identified or that firm identified, I think that would be worthwhile.
That's a good point, Walt. I know that Partners does have somebody as their go-to person when they need legal help. So that's a good ad. Thank you very much.
If I may say, there used to be, and I can't remember who it was, but there was actually a NaCCRA member who was a retired attorney who in the past, and I'll have to ask Bennett, I don't know his situation now, but I would think that maybe you could utilize your internal membership for that.
Well, I know that Karen Miller, who's a retired lawyer, is becoming more and more active. And Walt, you might, Ron, rather, you might want to speak to that if you can.
You lost your sound.
Anybody?
No.
Ron, are you there? No, he's away from his office.
Oh, okay.
He's not in his chair. There he is. Ron,
Yeah.
Basil had a question for you.
Okay. Sorry, I had to step away for a phone call.
Oh, okay. My question was, you've had increasing dialogue with Karen Miller, who is a lawyer, and Walt had just brought up the fact that we probably need some legal advice on this. And it seemed like Karen was going to be very interested in serving. Am I misreading that or not?
Well, I'm not sure that she has the credentials to serve as a lawyer.
Yeah.
In the past, she did, and she noted that in her bio.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
So you see what she says that she can do, and what she.
Well, at least she could help us refer it to it, and we could get we could identify the legal counsel that Partners uses and see whether we could do something. The point is, we need to check that box, and that's
Yeah, it looks like she could be very helpful.
Okay. Jim, I'd like to, is there anything else on this transition thing that I'd like to, I think we ought to go to the financial implication chart that you have.
Okay.
This is, now as we go to this, financial implications, realize that a lot of the things that we had been getting free, courtesy of Jack,
Is it on the screen?
Yes, it is.
It is.
Yeah,
You need to go to the top.
Scroll down a little bit.
Yeah, it's starting on line 13. We need to go to the top of the form.
Scroll down or up, whatever.
Up will work. Maybe the home, yeah.
There you go.
No, that's mine. That's the actual expenses. I want to go to the one that the one you were just on a minute ago.
Oh, I made it full screen. Okay, here we go. This one?
Now, if you can, yeah, here we are. These are some of the costs that'll be in that used to be either
Don't change it.
in the charge that we got from Partners for the $1,000 a month or whatever it
It
was.
looks good. Don't change it. Oh, you made it a little too small. I mean,
Oh, I thought I was making it bigger.
you did. You make it one zoom back. 125 will do it. There you go. You got it on the screen. That's good. Just
Okay,
keep it.
Jim, walk us down through this.
Okay. I started putting this together as I began talking to various vendors, if you will, on what it was going to cost for various things. And I tried to categorize this in sections that you'll see, like operations, virtual office, marketing, communications, and what have you. So under operations, the first one on line 3 is the lockbox, and that's a $250 a month fee. And then on the column E, you'll see the annual cost. The management system, we're working with Steve on a contract. It's not signed yet, but his proposal is that we would lease it for $350 a month. And then the further development of the site would be $21 an hour. And at the moment, and this is a little bit flexible too, but it looks like about 105 hours. Website maintenance, about 10 hours a month, or $210. So that's where that's falling out. And then the hosting costs. Basically my feeling is that these hourly rates and hosting costs and other are fair prices, and that's what it has. As I said, we're still working through the contract, and that's where we are at this moment. On the virtual office, or I can stop there if anybody has any questions. Okay, on the virtual office, kind of breaks down in two parts. The first is the live receptionist, and that's what I mentioned about the phone calls. They will have several operators trained on our system, and they will answer the calls, and we've told them what we expect them to say, how they will answer the phones, and who they will refer phone calls to. I'm looking for that sheet right now, but I don't have it in my hand. And that is $99 a month. The virtual office is this office on, I think it's 1100 Connecticut Avenue. If you're familiar with Washington, it's next to very close to the Mayflower Hotel. It's also where a lot of trade associations, lobbyists, K Street and Connecticut Avenue is the heart of what goes on. It's just that, a virtual office. If we want to use it for a meeting or whatever, we can, but we pay by the hour. And at this point, I don't anticipate having to actually have meetings down there. So it's basically at this point a mail drop. If we want mail forwarded, and they will look at it and we'll decide if it's something we're not interested in, or they can just scan it and we'll say, okay, we'll take care of that. Doesn't cost us anything, but there's a charge for forwarding mail, and I've just plugged a number in there, maybe $35 a month for mail forwarding. I've forgotten what the rate per letter is, but that's what that is. Then on the financial end, QuickBooks Online, I mentioned that Lanigan, the accounting firm, uses QuickBooks Online, and they have told us that they will make that account available to us for exactly what it costs them, which is $24 a month. And I've already started. I have login credentials for that, and I've started just being familiar with what they have and what they don't have. So that's ongoing. Legal and accounting, as I mentioned, this was mainly accounting number. I plugged $350 in. Could be less. It probably won't be any more. And we don't have anything, Walt, for legal yet, because I had no idea what to put in there. So that's where we plug that. The D&O insurance is the premiums currently, and it's paid through, as you see, April of 2018 is $642. I have no idea what it would cost next year. It's obviously would change. I assume it would go up like everything else.
It's been pretty consistent over the past few years. There hasn't been a huge increase.
Okay, good. Then Lifeline production mailing. Again, that's a bit of a wag also. That came from a quote I got from another printer. I haven't gotten a quote yet, and we will from, tell me again, Kim, Duraprint, is that right?
Well, Commercial Print and Copy, CPC, is who currently does the Lifeline. Duraprint does the envelopes.
Oh, okay. Well, I haven't gotten to that, so that's just a number. Constant Contact, based on the number of contacts we have, is $45 a month. I'll come back to that because I've done a little work on that. Zoom is $112.49. Actually, and you've paid for that, and it's $150. We'll reimburse you, but
Right.
that's the annual fee, and that's good through till next November, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And Miss Ann, if you haven't already got your reimbursement, I did put it in, so it should be soon.
Thank you.
Checks in the mail. You've heard that before.
Right.
And then we've got another plug number down here for administrative support. We don't know really how many hours, but Ann's been doing some work on finally finding someone, we're not very far into that, who could help us on administrative work, key punching, et cetera, et cetera. And again, it's a plug number. And other office expenses, mailing, printing, what have you. Again, another plug number of $100 a month. And the total is about $41,000 so far. So that's, I call it the expense budget. There's no income to it. It's just what it's costing us. And down below that, if you want to scroll down a little bit, Ann, I just plugged in, Basil or Ann gave us these numbers to give us an idea of what they were spending on various things. And you'll see it was 623 hours. I just took that same hourly rate and came out to the $1,200. So that's how I came up with administrative number up above. You'll see.
Now the 623, that represented the hours in a year.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So membership data entry for $120.
One of the first steps we did was to ask the partners to quantify the amount of time by major function, and that was the figure they gave us. Are any questions of Jim on any of this that we've done so far?
No.
Okay, now I'd like to go to the finance.
Hey, Walt, did you have a question?
Yeah, could you scroll back up again just a minute? The sheet I have, which I copied off someone's email, totals 39,000 instead of 41. I was just trying to find out where.
I think the difference is I plugged in the $350 accounting.
This morning.
Yeah, this morning. I think that
Okay.
if you make that zero, you'll find I think you're back to where you were.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I just talked to Rachel this
$200 a
morning.
month in before. That's
Right. And I talked to Jim just before we went online, and we plugged in the 350 because he had new information.
Okay. Fine. That answers it.
Eagle eye.
Good eye.
Anyone else? Okay, let's then go to the 3-year financials of sorry.
And we had it up there before,
Yeah,
I think.
we did. This is it.
That's it.
You could zoom this a little if you can.
All right. How is that? Do you want a bigger?
Yeah, try it at 150 and see what. Okay, now these are just simply the actual outlays and revenues for 2015, 2016, and 2017 year to date. And that year to date means through the month of September. And thank you, Kim, for giving these to me. I did use them last night. But anyhow, I wanted to give the board some feeling that what we're doing is not exacerbating our financial problems. And so but it's difficult to do on this chart. And I wanted again to ask each board member to identify any expenses, travel expenses that you've had this year, because our financial statements have one big Achilles heel. And the Achilles heel is that there's a lot more there's a lot more expense to keeping NaCCRA on board than what shows up in our accounts. One of the examples of that is our travel. Every one of you traveled to New Orleans. I can't think you did it for any cheaper than $1,500 to $2,000. So for every one of our members that came to anything there, we've got 2,000. What do we have there? About 8 or 9.
You just scroll down a little bit.
Huh?
Scroll down to the expense section.
Oh, okay. Yeah, see, there's no board travel this year at all. There was in prior years. In 2016, there was about $9,000, and same is true in 15. And there was also some president-elected travel expenses in both those years. A little bit this year. I'm not sure what that little bit was, but the point is that there's a lot more that's not on the books. And the other one that's not on the books comes from the generosity of Jack Cumming. Jack has been had funded the membership system, the data system that on which all our member records resides. And that cost a little bit of money, and you've already been seeing what it will cost, how Steve Ritchie's prices out his support of that system and what it would cost. So we are going to pick up some of that. And but it's not grossly out of line with the expenses we've had before. So let's stay up to the revenue side for just a minute. Our real problem with NaCCRA, the biggest problem we have is those individual memberships. And as soon as we get behind us the logistics of transferring and a reestablishment as we lose partner support, is going to be almost immediately next year trying to launch into a major membership development effort. I don't know exactly how that'll pull out, but we really need that membership committee to come alive and get us some additional members. You'll note this year that contributions drop down the line 10. Look at the contributions, and many of you in the room, I'm not going to identify you, have put in big checks this year to try to assist. And as you can see from that chart, our contributions this year are almost $25,000. And that really is helpful. And I think in the short term, the message of this chart for me is that we're going to have to continue to push on contributions to get us over the initial part of 2018. And I don't think there's anything else on there that's very exciting. Lifetime members continue to grow, but our revenues, especially if you look at 2015, which was probably the last normal year, our revenues were about $51,000, and I think that's probably pretty normal. If you realize we're going to have more revenue this year from dues, take out the donations. and we're probably going to have about the same thing in 17. But now drop down and show, if you would, Ann, the entire expense array. The entire expense array, to the extent you can. You can't get it all in, but you can see that our expenses this year, through 3/4 of the year in total, are $20,175. So we really constrained expenditures this year, which so far has produced in the first 9 months 35,000. But realize that 24 of that is donations. So there's good expense control, but there's also some generous members that have been helping us along. So from this chart and from what Jim has shown you about the new rack up, we'll produce a 2018 budget. And the one thing I would like the minutes to note is that we'll send that around electronically as soon as we have it available. We'll probably use something like the same chart of accounts, since the same people are doing the same QuickBooks account, but it'll look a little bit different. But our target is to try to stay somewhere around that $40,000 expense outlay. We can't really afford to be much higher than that, and that's going to cause some trouble, because what that means is that unless we can ramp up the revenues from individual memberships and ramp up the donations, we still won't be doing the travel that we really need to do. So that's my pitch, but I thought you might like to see the actual rack up of financials for almost 3 years. The only thing it's lacking is the final 3 months of calendar 2017. Are there any questions on any of that?
Maybe I'm here, and I thought maybe I could ask the question that Karen asked. What's the cash position?
Okay.
Balance.
I just happen to have that. If I can find it.
This is funny, and I don't know where it is.
No, I don't know what it is.
Is that in the financial statements that we just received?
Yes, it is. It is. It's on the balance sheet. I just don't know where it said it.
You can look at the bank balance if you want.
It's on page 4.
It's not in here.
Page 4 of the accounting report.
Guess what I just found? Yeah, it's the best one to use is the 30 September 2017. Our total amount of current assets, one's an operating account and one is the restricted account, is $85,000, $85,581 to be specific. But we do have some deferred revenue. Although we got cash in the bank, we've got some lifetime memberships where we really have not earned the income as yet. So that's held as a liability. And that liability as of the 30th of September is $16,500 in round figures. So we do have 85,000 plus in the bank, but we also have a reserve for lifetime members of 16,500. So right now, the austerity and the donations have put us into a better position than we were at the beginning of this year by a long shot. So basically, that's enough to say on that. Does that answer your question, Ron?
Yes, it does. Thank you very much, Basie.
Does anyone have an estimate of what the membership program is going to cost us to maintain?
Yes, it was on that prior chart, Walt, and not this chart, Jim's chart, but the membership system. The proposal that we have is for $350 a month.
Okay.
If I remember my math, that's about 42 a year.
Okay, that's what the number was that had to be changed. All right.
Huh?
That was the number that had to be changed. I did not understand that one. Yeah, okay.
No, but you can look at it here and realize that we've been doing that before. We've had the benefit of that since September the 15th. But we haven't had it. It's never been on our income statement. It's never been on any of that. It's been off the financials world.
Okay.
So we are going to pick it up. Yeah, here it is. Management system estimates. You see it up there, Walt? See it on the screen?
Okay.
And that's what that's all about, because it's just not the release of the system, but we'll have changes. We'll have to pay when we go in and make alterations. And in some respects, I think it'll be a good discipline for us, because there's nothing like having to pay for it to mitigate your desires.
Yeah.
Also, I just want to interject the development work that is will be ongoing is really helping set up more automatic systems to get invoices out and do some of the things that might be done by a human being. So if they're automated, it's less human capital expense once the systems are in place.
Actually, the sessions we've had with Steve, to me, have been heartening, really heartening, because he seems very responsive. I can't get my car worked on for $21 an hour. And so I think the prices we're being quoted are very reasonable.
Yeah. Can someone tell me how we're funding the notes and news distributions? I know those go out as an email.
Right.
Do we have to pay for that at all?
Well, they go out with that constant
Contact.
you see down on line 21.
Yeah.
That is a monthly charge that we use to take the email addresses that are in our system and to send them out to the membership for which has connectivity.
It handles all of our email and other things like that. Good.
It handles any emails we want to put out like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Good.
And the membership system allows us to download all the emails and get them updated into constant contact, which Jim has already done.
Good.
Now,
Do that regularly to keep the database updated with new members' emails.
Yeah. Okay. I'm ready.
Any other questions on that from anyone? Okay, it looks like we've, once again, our purpose here is to be as transparent as we can on what we're doing, because we are changing the landscape of what it's going to cost us to do business. Okay, so let's leave those and go back to the agenda. Let me find it. I wanted to say a word about the Congress, where I think you got a copy of our Congress report. And while much of the stuff that we're doing right now has nothing to do with our mission, it's something we have to do, and we only got a certain time frame. But I thought that the feedback that I've got anyhow on the Congress was that there was a good exercise. We got some notes here that were what we had captured. And the reason that's out to the board is that many of you attended that entire Congress. So if you see something that should be added to this report on the NaCCRA Congress, an item, I would appreciate you giving us that input. Now, I want to scroll down, though, to one aspect that I think is important, and it's important to Ron Whalen as well, because the Financial Soundness Committee was one of the action items that came out of that, and that the re-energizing and resurrection of the Financial Soundness Committee was also something that we would like to do. And as we fill our positions for next year, we need to find probably someone who can assist in that process.
Okay.
Yes, I'm listening, Ron.
Okay. Well, I see the information, and that's one of the factors that we can add into talents that we can look for.
Well, see, I think it would be a mistake to have put forth the effort that we did, and we were really fortunate. We had Catherine Pearson, who added so much that we didn't know we were going to have a couple days earlier, but she was really very helpful. But this is the sort of thing that ought to be shaping our mission. This is what we do for our customers, and we can't, while it's nice to take care of the housekeeping and the data systems, we really got to get back into what are we doing for our members. And I wanted every member of the board to know that we did file a piece of paper with the leadership in the House of Representatives, again, on the medical deductibility issue. What we did was just say, me too, so to speak. But if you're interested in that document and you haven't seen it, let us know. But we did file that last week. In fact, the date of the document was November 11. Okay. Any other commentary on the Congress? Ruth, is Ruth with us yet? Well, I'll take this because I think it's really important that we don't forget that in the middle of December we have the due date for the first quarter of 2018 for our Lifeline. So I want that to go into the minutes. We never did anything to change the editorial calendar of that was prepared last year. But we did do this. We did say that we were going to go to 6 editions next year. What's in the budget now is still 4. What's on the editorial calendar is still 4. So if we're going to try to do that, we're going to have to change both of those documents. And that'll have to be the domain of the editorial policy, editorial communications group. Is Jean still on? You out there, Jean?
Yes.
Okay. Well,
I'm here. I'm on the telephone.
Okay. Well, on the telephone, then you have the editorial calendar, do you not? And so,
yes.
I thought Ruth was going to be on, but I wanted this meeting to not forget that today we're 30 days away from the input to the next Lifeline. Now we've got a lot of things we can put in the next Lifeline because we had the Congress. That report that Ann just put on the screen is really very useful. We've had some changes in our own dialogue. We've done some representation issues. So I think there's plenty of grist for the mill for that Lifeline, but I don't want it to slip. I think it's important for us with this transition we went through when we hit the beginning of next year, to the extent we can, we want to hit the deck running. And that's for you Navy guys like Jim.
And if I could interject, Kim Campbell, the designer, has been briefed on the transition, and she is on your vendor list.
Okay.
Still,
what's her name again, Kim?
Kim Campbell.
Campbell, okay.
And she is still willing to work with you guys. And she would be the person that you would send your articles to do the layout and so forth, should you choose to still work with her.
Okay. Okay. And so that's Lifeline. NaCCRA.com contact form. Ann, you want to talk to that?
I just wanted to give a brief update. The website has a contact form, and there's been about 21 contacts that have come to me as under info@NaCCRA.com. And they've ranged from just seeking information about their membership. And now I can actually access the membership system and tell them the situation. And also there's been comments from people asking what we are doing for the medical deduction. And I've been able to refer them to the alert and also gave them some information. Katie Sloan's report to us about policy whiplash, and thousands of letters and cards have come in. So it's been a useful tool to be a way to be in direct contact with members. And then I've gotten feedback. Thank you for the information. It's been helpful.
Good. Is there any help from anybody you need on that, Ann? Are you able to?
I'm going to change the email while I'm gone for a month to who wants to do emails off the website.
Well, somebody's got to pick it up.
Otherwise, I'll give it to Jim.
Yeah.
Haynes, new kid on the block.
And I can help with that. I don't.
Okay. Because you can always refer it to forward it to somebody else.
Yeah, and Jack's still on the. Yeah, Jack's on.
Jack's on the phone. Yes.
For some of the technical issues.
Jack is speaking. Go ahead. Okay, very good.
Jack, do you have anything else, as long as we're on the website, or any other comments you'd like to offer? Okay, how about you, Kim? Anything we need to hear from you?
No, I don't think so. I think we've covered about everything.
Okay. Jean, on the phone?
Yes. I don't have any questions.
Okay. Jim, did we cover everything?
I think we did.
Okay, now I have a question for everybody, and then I've left you hanging, Ann, because you and Jim are both in Washington. Next year, we normally have the spring meetings in the DC area. We've had some preliminary dialogue on that. It would be possible to have those in Orlando if you wish, but I know there's a conference there that you'd like to hook up with at the same time. And also there are other things about Washington in the spring that are attractive. Number one, we could even perhaps see what our mailing address looks like on Connecticut Avenue. So that might be of interest to people. But I think that, there's a couple places in the U.S. where you can get fairly cheap fares, and Orlando is one of them. So I'd like to bring that to conclusion at the next meeting. I'm not sure when that'll be at this point. Ann's going to be away for 30 days, starting tomorrow.
Monday.
Okay. All right. Starting Monday. And I'd like to see what the sense of the board is as far as where to handle that. If you want to continue it in DC, that's fine. If you'd be willing to travel south in March, that's another potential. Any immediate reactions to that?
Doesn't that date tie in, what do they call it, with the leading age?
Yeah, it's the peak conference.
It does.
Like their spring legislative meeting where they go on the Hill and have educational programs. Well, I think, Jack, you've got the most history on that. The purpose was to kind of align ourselves with that meeting. And how many people actually went to that meeting over the years? Do you know?
Okay. That's probably right. So you'd favor.
Jean here.
Jean's talking.
Hello.
Yeah, we hear you.
Yeah. When we met in Washington, the next meeting in the past was held at Rubin House at one time, and another time it was held. Let's see, where Peter Straub was the president. It was in Springfield. So at least twice we've held our spring meetings in a CCRC, and it worked very well.
Okay.
Because the program was really very, very well done.
Jean, I think you're getting echo there. You may have two mics turned on.
Well, you're on the phone, but we also see you as a video, Jean.
The video.
I know, but I can't hear you except on the telephone.
Okay.
I couldn't hear anybody. That's why I got on the telephone.
Well, you've made your point. You're saying that the ones that have been in the D.C. area, whether it was Springfield or Goodwin House, seem to be preferable. And Jack made the point that if we have it in conjunction with other meetings, that we perhaps can get a voice. So it sounds to me like we're really saying that we're best off to have if we're going to have a person, face to face in the D.C. area. Does that sound like a reasonable consensus?
Yeah.
What are the dates? Do you know, Jack, for the meeting coming up, the NAIC? Okay.
Do they normally do it in the downtown D.C. area or the suburbs, Jack? Uh-huh. I'll be darned. Okay, well, we'll see what it is and see if we can hook up. Otherwise, we'll probably do the leading age hookup in the Washington area. Okay, so that answers my question. We have to find a host there somewhere. You're the only member of the editorial committee here, Jean. Will you have dialogue with Ruth after this meeting and talk to her about what was said?
About what was done in the past for spring meetings?
Not spring meetings. I'm talking about the editorial calendar.
The editorial calendar? Yeah, I'll get together with Ruth. Yeah.
The NAIC 2018 spring meeting is March 24 through 27 in Milwaukee.
Oh.
And in 2019, it's in Orlando.
Okay. Okay. Well, who wants to go to Milwaukee? Don't all shout at once. Okay.
If you want me to look about hosting it here at Falcons Landing, let me know and I'll find out what's in.
Well, I think it's got to be someplace like that. I think you might explore that for us, Jim, because that would be a good place. Goodwin House has done a magnificent job the last time we were there. That was well done, and I suspect there could be others. Okay, I'm going to ask just one more time. Any other business to be brought to this meeting? Well, with that, I'll ask for a motion for adjournment.
I move the meeting adjourn.
And we'll adjourn the meeting and say, don't forget to give me your estimates. If you don't give me your estimates, you're going to get my estimate. I'll multiply whatever I come up with. But
when is the next meeting?
We have not set that.
Okay.
We have not set that. It'll be when Ann gets back. When do you get back, Ann?
I don't get back till December 22nd.
So it's probably going to be
Christmas Day.
Yeah, I doubt that. I won't do that to you. Okay, we'll search a day.
Well, you can have a meeting without me. I'll give all the Zoom stuff to somebody else.
I think we can go 30 days without a meeting. So,
I think so.
any other business to be brought to the board? I guess we're adjourned. Thank you so much.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Bye. Happy Thanksgiving.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.